What's up? It's the Wares.
What's up, Waiting Room Ware family? I'm Jaquan Ware,
And I'm Asia Ware.
and this is the 4th episode of No Time for Sex. All right?
And today we're doing things a little bit differently. So, Mr. Ware, tell us what we're talking about.
We're talking about flesh versus spirit. Man, so a couple Sundays ago, my dad preached, had a great sermon. And while he was preaching, I was over there just jotting down key notes that I heard, something that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And one was sin makes you weak.
Okay.
And then when he said that, he was talking about how people can sometimes play the excuse role and say the easy thing, like, I'm not perfect. And you know how we pull that card.
Oh, yeah.
So that was one of them.
Yeah.
Another one was I was doing good until I met you. So that can correspond to meeting a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
Open
Boundaries.
boundaries. Open up your eyes and your ears to different things.
Mm-hmm.
I was good until I met you. He also said have to have the strength.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it corresponds to the journey.
Yeah.
You got to have the strength. You got to build up strength to make it through this journey.
Of course.
And then it was one more that said, if your flesh feels good and your spirit is weary, something is wrong. Man, he just had so many good points. And then he said, God is able to power up your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. And then he said, renew my strength. So all those key points corresponds in the abstaining journey.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, talk about different topics that I wrote down that stuck out to me. And I want to get into it. So
All right, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Let's start with sin is weak. Sin is weak.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with that. What comes to mind when you say my sin is weak?
I hear like my weaknesses. Like immediately when I think of sin, I already alluded to like our weaknesses, like whether it's cursing or having sex or smoking or drink, like whatever it is, stealing. It's like this thing has this hold on you and this thing has you weak.
Yeah.
So I look at it like that.
Yeah. I remember a while back when I was working, right? And I couldn't sleep one night.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke you up. Well, you was already woke. But I turned on the light and I was like, man, I gotta tell you something.
Oh, I remember.
You remember that day?
Yeah, I remember that.
And when I was at work, it was just so many things going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
As in, just normal things, smoking, drinking, women.
Yeah.
Just the whole nine, right? And I'm in the middle of that.
Yeah, I remember.
And at first, I'm like, easy work, easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then being around that environment, so much sin going on, I felt me getting weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep, and I was like, hey, like I feel me getting weak, man.
Mm-hmm.
Then you told me to pray.
Yeah.
Pray, and I bounced back more than ever. But that's what I
get from it.
Yeah, sin makes you weak.
For sure.
Like too much, not even too much. Sin, period, is even when I was having sex, like I didn't really look at it in this perspective, but it definitely was making me weak.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
I know you was about to say like too much, and you caught yourself because there's really no such thing. I mean, like a sin is a sin,
For sure.
And like even in that moment, that night you couldn't sleep and you woke up and we talked and we prayed. You weren't participating in it, but just even being around it, even seeing it. So that's not
Exactly.
too much, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so it's like, it doesn't really matter the extent. Once it's there, you bound to get weak. Like it can happen. And so that is a perfect example when I hear like sin is weakness.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's bound to make you weak. And I think as it goes back to our weight, That's the whole thing. Like, so that is the question that people ask. Like,
Yeah.
what do we do when we get weak? Or what do we do when we're tempted? Go pray.
Yeah.
Like, that is just that simple, because you are bound to get weak.
For sure.
You may be tempted.
For sure. It's coming. For
Yeah.
sure.
And so when he says sin is your weakness, it is, because if the power and the strength lies in God, God is enough sin. So
We went live yesterday and we had a question about I don't know the question verbatim, but she was asking, what was your focus on?
what was your main focus? So the question, she said, what was your main focus during your weight journey?
Yeah, and I told her my purpose.
Yeah.
My purpose, only because in my journey, in my journey, my purpose meant so much to me. Like, God put it in my face and showed me what I will become in my purpose, what I become in my purpose. And I just had to hold on to that strength, because soon as I slipped up, I knew my power and my strength to be taken. You get what I'm saying?
I like that. And I like how when he answered the question yesterday, you did say your purpose. And now that you just explained it to this extent, I said my main focus during the wait was my commitment to God and my commitment to, so like, it was, my main focus was simply the commitment.
Yeah.
And when you just said that, it made me think, like, if I had slipped up, I felt like I was just losing out on my relationship with God, or I was just losing out on my commitment. I know God forgives us. I know that. But I didn't use that as an excuse to, do things or anything. So when I thought about it, when you really think about it, I was thinking, like, if I do this, I'm losing out on my commitment. Like, you're totally being stripped from your purpose.
Yeah.
I'm totally being stripped from my commitment and my relationship with God. Because during that journey, that was my main focus. I was building a relationship. Like, I was getting to know God on a whole different level.
For sure. Look, even let's go back to like flesh versus spirit, right?
Yeah.
When you was having, when we was having sex before abstaining, how did you feel? Do you remember your flesh?
Yeah.
Do you remember your spirit being bothered?
I do.
Not even knowing you gonna quit sex cold turkey.
I didn't even know.
Really? Was your spirit bothered
I was
for real?
always, it was like so off and on for a minute. It was off and on with my emotions. Like, I was just always so aggravated.
Definitely
and then
was.
it became really, really bad.
heard me?
Like,
I said you definitely was.
it became like really, really bad. Like, every time, and it was probably like, I'm gonna just put a number on it. I don't know the number, but I'm gonna just say like that last 6 months or that last 12 months. It was like, the thought of sex is aggravating me so much.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea that I was about to stop having sex, or I didn't know I was about to start waiting. But I knew that I was feeling something, and just like, oh my God, like, again, like, we finna have sex again. Like, I didn't want it. I never initiated it anymore. Like, it was just, at this point, I'm just doing it because my boyfriend at the time want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I definitely felt, what I know now is conviction, but I didn't know that it was that then. And I felt ill. Like,
let me see. At a time I ain't feel nothing. At a time I ain't feel nothing after sex, or when I'm about to have sex, cause I mean that's what I want.
yeah.
And at the time my flesh was winning for sure. But sometimes, well, when it got close to the date, when God told me to stop, I felt so bad after sex. It was never pleasure in that.
Yeah.
It was always attitude from me or you.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, you get what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, we just doing this just to be doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't no meaning behind
Yeah.
it.
Like even when you thought you was making love, like
Yeah, it
what
was
are we making love?
like, what are you doing? But
Yeah.
it was no meaning behind it. It wasn't no real affectionate behind it. It was just, we was just doing what we was doing.
Yeah. Just doing stuff.
And that's so weak though. It's so weak. Looking back at it. At the time, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting whatever I'm getting. But at me looking at it now,
It's like, bro, what? And what was the point?
what was the point?
And during the entire time, what we didn't know was that our spirit was weak. What we didn't know was that our flesh was winning.
Yeah.
We didn't know that at the time, but now that we can look back, it's literally, I mean, it's just laid out so fine. Like, yeah, that's what that was. It was my spirit. My spirit was trying to speak, and the flesh was muting it every time.
Muting it.
Yeah.
That's the danger in it though. That's the danger in it. And then that's when people get to saying like, I'm not perfect and stuff.
Oh yeah, because
But
now I can use that as an excuse of like,
for sure.
well, I'm not perfect. And I love when he said that, when Phil mentioned it about the I'm not perfect, because he says it in a way of like, it almost reminds you of how just hypocritical we are as humans. Like, we love to say we're not perfect in a moment where we don't want to be condemned, or when
be held accountable.
Yeah, when we don't want to be held accountable, or we don't want to be talked about. So it's like, I mean, I'm not perfect, so
Nobody said you were perfect.
said you were perfect. Yeah.
Nobody. Look, I remember I was at this golf tournament, and she said, I was talking to this girl at the clubhouse, and she said, you smoke or drink or do this and that? I was like, nah, I'm chilling. She said, well, I'm not perfect. What you saying that for though?
Okay.
You telling her? I mean, I don't even care if you do it.
And it's kind of like a to think like, or you think you perfect because you're not drinking or smoking. Like,
I never said that.
I just said I'm good.
I never said I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
But what about I was doing good until I met you?
Now that one, it got so many layers to it, because I'm thinking about another young lady who asked us in our DMs. I mean, it literally just has so many layers, from when you're on this journey and you're doing good, and then you start talking to somebody or you start dating someone, and then you're in this bind of like, do I feed my flesh or do I feed my spirit? Or it can come to a point where it's just like, we're not talking to the human anymore. We're not talking to the person.
Yeah.
We actually talking to the act of sin now. Like, I was doing good until you came up here. Like, you're talking to the enemy now. Like, I was doing good until I met you. And I love when my father-in-law like preaches on our relationship with the enemy, because he teaches it as in a way of like we really out here fooling around with the enemy. Like, you really up here dancing with the devil. Like, you tried that thing once and you thought like, okay, I just tried it.
Yeah.
But no, like, now you attached, and now you keep going back, whatever that thing is, and you open the door. And so now it's literally like in your mind, man, I was doing good until I met you. And you talking to the enemy like, I was really doing good until I met you. So it's like, and now what? And so that conversation it can go that way, where you're talking directly at the enemy or directly at that thing that is holding you bond, or you're talking directly to that person. If it's like, I mean, look at us. If you've been watching us and you know our story, and if you don't know and you're new here, I was waiting before we started waiting. And I didn't even know that I was like waiting. Like, I just knew that I wanted to be cleansed. I just was doing this little thing, and I just stopped having sex. I stopped eating meat. I just stopped doing a lot of things, and I was doing good until Thanksgiving break. And I came home from school and I linked up with Jaquan and we had sex. And I never was telling him like, oh, I'm abstinent. or I'm abstaining until marriage. Like that wasn't my goal at that time. I didn't know that God was planting that seed for this. I was just doing it just because I needed to be cleansed. And I mean, I had those moments, those thoughts like, dog, I was doing good until your butt came back. I was doing good.
And if you haven't watched the videos way back when we first started, I talked about this. And even when I came and we did that, I felt so bad though. You know?
Yeah.
I felt super bad because you announced what you were doing, and I definitely disregarded what you was talking about.
Yeah.
And disrespected what you had going on. I apologize for that to this day. Real talk, bro. Cause that wrong, bro. That's you don't supposed to do that.
See, I was doing good until I met him.
Like, so even when I was doing good until I met you, I'm thinking about just opening doors. I say porn, right? And that junk is so like attachable. And sometimes you can't even break loose from it. Cause even when we was waiting, people used to ask me like, "Bruh, have you ever like slipped up and do? I mean, what you do to
please yourself?
What you do to please yourself and this and that and that and this, bro? You got to be doing this." And I'd be 100%, bro. I'd be like, "Bro, I slipped up, bro. I definitely did, bro. But I kept going.
Yeah,
I kept going. Anybody that asked me, I ain't gonna lie to you and be like, bro, I ain't never slip up. I ain't do this and that.
Yep, you said it at our
I
conference.
opened that door.
Yep.
I was doing good until I met you. And when I did it, I'm like, why did I just do that?
Yep.
You know? But that right there, that's a whole nother conversation. I was doing good until I met you.
Yeah, because it really
it
goes to
so many things though, bro.
Yeah. And it made me think about, and that's just on the light surface of it. But it really does make me think about how, like you say, the questions that we used to get all the time and the questions that we still get. We just got the question yesterday, and it's about the boundaries. And I think when we talk about boundaries, a lot of people attach the boundaries to like, oh, well, the boundary that I set with Jaquan or the boundary that he set with me. And it's like, it's so much deeper than that because it's also the boundaries that you set within yourself. Like I set boundaries within myself, and it comes to that point of what boundaries are you setting within yourself because you were doing good. And everybody out there, like if you're waiting and you're trying, you're doing good, and then you have this thought of, I mean, I could go in the bathroom and just please myself real quick, or I can watch, porn and please myself real quick. And you thinking those things, and you thinking that it's just you actually thinking that it's gonna please you.
Yeah.
Number one, you thinking that it's gonna please you. Number two, you think you just play with fire. Yeah. And what it does is it opens up that door, and what you thought was pleasing. Because when we don't really know in that moment, like flesh and spirit. So we thinking like it's that good thing that I'm about to please. So you think you're about to please your spirit in a way.
For sure.
And then you figure out that you was only pleasing your flesh, which is really not pleasing. So you still end up feeling empty. And then you like, I was doing good until I met you. Like I was doing good until I opened up that door. Like, and then you kind of feel just real crazy. Like, why did I even do that?
Yeah, bruh. Dude, it just came up to my mind. We said it before. Bruh, you see how it's crazy when you give everything to yourself that you want to have pleasure with? That's feeding your flesh.
Yep.
And then once you cut out those things and stop feeding your flesh, you feeding your spirit.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm just seeing it now, like, everything that you just, not even everything, but majority, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But if that stuff just grabbing at you,
Yep.
grabbing at you, and your spirit is feeling weary, that's your flesh talking.
Yeah.
Now, if you fighting for those things, fighting from those things, that's your spirit talking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it all boils down to the conversation ender, pretty much. when the young lady asked us yesterday, like how do you know what you can't do? And I always say, I say it in almost every video. Number one, I feel like in a way when we ask that question, it's another one of those. I mean, I ain't perfect.
Yeah.
Because the question in itself, and there's no disregard to the people that ask us, but the question in itself, it's almost like your way of excuse. Like, okay, but how do I know what I'm not supposed to do? You know when you do it when it don't feel right.
Definitely.
Like, you know when you do it if you do it and you don't feel right. Like, you literally, your spirit feels weary, like you just said. Yeah. And so if you know you're on a journey to wait, but then every time you talk to this guy, and y'all could just be talking on the phone, every time you talk to him,
just feeling
you
crazy.
feel crazy. And like you just feel like your spirit or your walk is being disturbed, then that right there, that conversation alone is feeding your flesh. So it's not even to the, in the depth of, where you're having sex and that feeds your flesh, or kissing feeds your flesh, or foreplay feeds you just had a conversation with somebody and you feel totally disturbed. And you almost feel the need to like backtrack on your journey.
Definitely.
You just fed your flesh. So that moment you should walk away immediately, or at least get down and pray and ask God for the guidance and the strength to do so, because you know when your spirit feels weary. You know when
you don't supposed to do so.
And even if you don't know those words or those terms like conviction or spirit or flesh, it's just something that God put inside of all of us that you just feel. You know how you always say like, man, and Phil just said this, like you always have that gut feeling because you always say like, I knew I shouldn't have, or man, I knew I shouldn't have went there, or I knew I shouldn't have did that. And something told me, like that's something that knew that's it. That's God.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that. That same thing goes for dudes, men. Same thing. If you trying to do right, my little brother trying to do right now. He like, man, I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to do right. But then it's this girl that pop up. And she tried to throw him off his path. Yeah. Like it's enemy be trying to work, bro. Cause he know once you get this down right here, it's gonna be you're gonna be unstoppable. You're gonna be unstoppable. You're gonna be unstoppable. Because I say that because I've gained my strength through abstaining. Yeah. I've never been as strong as I am from, abstaining. Like self-control.
Yes.
Discipline. Never giving up. Communication. Yeah. Dealing with myself. Setting boundaries for myself. And just having the want to pedigree about myself. Like that all came from abstaining.
The journey.
It was more than just
not having sex.
Right. It was so much more. Like God really, he builded me. Is that a word? Builded?
Built. Hey, he built you, man. He built you. Yeah. Build it. Continue.
Build it.
He built you.
You told me that was a word yesterday. So
well, I know I didn't.
Look, so yeah, he built me. He built me, and I do this thing over and over and over and over and over because,
You would?
Not over and over and over and over. Though.
I'm like, would you?
I will though. If I had a second life, yeah, I'd do it over. I wouldn't have sex.
Oh yeah,
because I know what's gonna come after that.
Right, yeah, 100%.
And not even knowing, but I just felt great doing it. You know. But start building yourself up. Like, but yeah, man.
Anyway, y'all, that is a wrap for today's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want you guys to comment down below what was your biggest takeaway from this episode.
Yeah.
And don't forget to DM us. Like when you're feeling weary, when you're in those times where you kind of just feel like you're alone, because the journey can definitely feel alone. Even when I had a partner doing it with me, and I still felt like the journey is isolated. And we talked about it in our first video. But when you feel like that, that's why we're here. Connect with us, text us, DM us, whatever, so that we can hop on a call. Because all you need in that moment is just some listening ears and a little guidance to let you know, like, this too shall pass. Yeah. It's a little moment. You'll get over it.
Keep going. And we the type, if anybody, you can ask anybody that hopped on a call with us. Yeah. We never bashing. We never looking at you crazy for what you did. It's just like, okay, you did it. All right, okay, let's go.
Let's keep going.
We finna encourage you.
Yep.
And that's all we here for.
That's it.
Just be a help and to listen to whatever you got going on, and make sure you come out of here unstoppable.
Yes, we don't have no time for sex.
No time for sex right now. Get married and boom. But I'm Jaquan Ware.
And I'm Asia Ware.
And this is the 4th episode of No Time for Sex.
Bye.